So, my friend Shane was getting married in the middle of rural Ireland. Now, my wife Beck and I have never really explored Ireland. This seemed like a good opportunity to do so. So, after a while of trying to add up the costs of hotels and hire cars and flights and so on, my friend Dave said, "You should do it in a camper van." "That's a very good idea, Dave," I said to him. "I'm not really one for camping. As far as I'm concerned, tents can go and do one, but the idea of some sort of metal tent with more protection and an engine and some cool gadgets, I'm on board." Now, by far the most searched for camper van on Autotrader is Volkswagen's California, which is basically a transporter van fitted with everything you need, VW says, to survive in the wilderness, or in our case, a series of family campsites around Ireland. So, we borrowed a California, booked a ferry, and swiped the office video camera, and this is what we got up to. Let's go see the van.
It smells like new cars. It's surprisingly spacious. Fridge, hob, sink. I just wasn't pulling it.
Bosh.
Cool.
Unbed. That's just storage nets and stuff, I think.
Storage space under there.
That's also where the gas is under there. Let's have a look upstairs. Hey!
Is it good?
Yeah.
It's narrower than our sofa bed. Slightly more comfortable though up here. I think I'd rather sleep the other way around though, because that's a bit
That's where your headphones as well.
That's nice if it gets really hot.
There's also a 12-volt thing here. And some lights.
Oh yeah.
And some light there.
Getting down is actually quite easy. I want to know how you pop up. I think you can pop up the roof somehow.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Also, I think we need to christen the van.
What? Is this something I shouldn't be recording?
No, in terms of name, give it a name.
Okay. If it rains ice while we're away, then it could be Van Halen.
Van Halen, yeah.
Right, we're going shopping. I kind of thought that we'd just get the van, jump in it with the suitcases and we'd go, but my lovely wife thinks otherwise.
We don't need chairs, do we? That it's got chairs in it. We'll just get a couple of them. They're quite good. They'll be practical. Big mugs.
Big coffee. Do we need to think about cooking? I've got all these. All day breakfast. Get a toaster. Swedish Fire Steel 2.0 Scout with integrated emergency whistle. We definitely need one of these. Electrical extension cables. Bungee cords. Not for bungee jumping. After quite a bit of arguing about what we should take and what we shouldn't, we packed up the van with 10 days worth of clothes, food and 2 bicycles on the back and set off for the port in Wales. Right, holiday! Woo! Paced on 10 minutes so far, I'm actually quite impressed with how this thing drives. It feels very heavy, but that's because we've got most of our possessions in it.
Surprisingly not rattly. I guess it's got loads of sort of padding and panelling and doesn't rattle like a van would.
We are 5 hours 10 minutes into the journey. It's entirely comfortable to drive. I mean, 5 hours in any vehicle is quite a long time. I feel great. Right, well, a nice hour spent chilling at Tesco's eating a sandwich. Little bit of drama just before we go to the ferry. I set up a GoPro to record us going onto the ferry. And just after we set off, the wipers just randomly started going. Didn't touch the thing, they just went. And took out one of the windscreen wipers with no time to get it fixed. We're just going to have to get on the ferry and then see if we can get it fixed when we get to Ireland. One of the big advantages of going by ferry is that we could literally drive our fully loaded van on and then off again the other side with all our stuff in it. No airport security, no queuing for seats, no terrible food, no being cooped up for several hours. We went by Irish ferries from Pembroke to Rosslare and booked a cabin to chill in during the 4-hour crossing. I guarantee that the weather is going to stay like this for the whole trip we're here.
Wow.
If there's one thing I know about Ireland, it's the Sunshine Isle, that's what they call it. We've managed to get the wiper working again, and what did you just say to me? Because now we're running a little bit behind schedule.
I suddenly thought, oh, we're going to have to get to the place, and before we can do anything, we're going to have to unload all our stuff.
No!
No, we don't, because it's all in the van, and we can just leave it here and basically go to sleep if we want.
Right, so first night we are staying in Duncannon, which is a little village just outside Waterford, which we picked because it was close to the ferry port. So it will be our first night camping in the Van Morrison. First things first, should we get some electricity on the go? I'm just reading how to do it. The electricity port is there, so I need a cable.
We definitely need all of that, do we? So there's a bit of blurb showing on the top console, so we assume that means that we have electricals. Right, you alright for me to pop up the roof?
Yeah, let's get the roof up. We've practiced this at home, so this should be pretty straightforward.
Like.
What are you trying to do?
Spin the seat round, but whatever position you put it in, it either hits the door or it hits the steering wheel. You see, like how on earth are you supposed to do it? Moving the front seats was a bit of a pain because you have to move them forward and back the optimum distance so that when you spin them round they don't hit the door or the handbrake, and you have to sort of move them back and forward as you're turning it around, which was a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
Also you have to keep winding the seats forward, like tipping them forward to be able to move them, and it's a bit of a pain winding. It would be nice if there was a button that just flipped the seats forward so you could turn them around without having to keep winding and winding.
Yeah.
Hello!
Right.
It's quite good being
Got
able
the
to
kitchen
stand
on the
up.
go.
Do you want a beer or would you like a Jack Daniels?
The beer's in the fridge.
Yes.
Oh, that goes along the beer, please.
They're not
Nice and cold.
insanely cold, but they're pretty cold.
Oh, that's cold enough for me. Good morning. As you can tell, I've been for a bike ride. I originally planned to show you how to set up the campsite and everything, set up all the beds and the roof and everything last night, but we got in and decided to go to the pub round the corner, and it turned into a late night.
The bed was a lot more comfortable than I thought it would be. It was
So we
kind of
slept up the
cosy.
top.
We slept up the top. It wasn't as small as I thought it would be. You could pretty much hear everything because it's obviously just canvas.
Yeah, that was
But-
the downside. Like, you could hear people talking
You
at
could hear
6 o'clock
birds
this
singing
morning.
and all
Birds.
sorts. But you could,
And the
I mean,
light
that's-
came in a bit.
That's the joy of camping, really. I did notice downstairs this morning was a lot darker, so if you want it dark, you can really sleep downstairs.
Yeah, the blinds that
Blinds
come
are
down
really
are
good.
really good. One of the problems we found is that everything gets really, really messy really quickly. We're going to have to be better at figuring out where stuff needs to live. One of the problems of moving the seats around is that the finely honed driving position I've been spending the last day finding has completely gone. But yeah, we're good. Right, onwards. I mean, typical, isn't it? Wherever you go, there's just traffic. Can't escape it. Day 2 saw us drive to the middle of Ireland, to Kinnity in County Offaly. You know, I said I was convinced it was going to be sunny the whole time we were here. I was wrong. It suddenly occurs to me that a lot of what we did the first night would have been a lot more difficult if it was absolutely chucking it down.
Yes. Summer holidays.
Now we're off to Galway, beautiful city, so I'm told. And then we're off down the coast to Doolin for camping once again. We've just put fuel in for the first time, and actually it costs way less than I expected it to. It came to €81.28 for 60 litres, which is actually far less than I thought. So we've been getting about 35 miles to the gallon, which I'm actually pretty pleased with. That's much better than I expected. Right, we're all settled in Doolin on the coast. Oh, you've already got the drinks
I've got
out.
the drinks out, we've got the Pringles, cards, guidebook. One thing we discovered is I didn't want to keep the fridge running when we weren't plugged into the mains because I was worried it would run down the battery, but apparently it has its own battery and it can keep things cold for 4 days without being plugged in.
Which is excellent.
Yes.
There's a little doodad up here. You can see what kind of battery stuff you've got going on. Have we definitely paid for an electricity hookup?
Yes, why is it not working? Is
I
it
don't
not?
know. I'm going to go and speak to the woman. Well, that was a lesson in checking things before you go complaining to someone. Turned out, need to make sure that that says on and not off. And that's why it wasn't working. Another problem solved, eventually. Good morning. The weather has turned. In the middle of the night, started to absolutely chuck it down. So we've just had lots of fun in the rain, trying to put everything together while not getting absolutely soaked and getting the van absolutely ruined. I think we've pretty much succeeded, but it's meant that we can't dry the towels outside. Shoes have to get piled up in here because otherwise the floor gets filthy. Also, notice that the canvas roof lets the wind come through. I had a nice little breeze waking me up this morning, although it is waterproof, so that's good. But we did crank up the auxiliary heater yesterday.
That was very good. Once we got back yesterday afternoon, we were both a bit chilly sitting in the van, so Phil found the heater basically pumps out hot air at foot level. Yeah. And that was really nice, really effective, really quick, so I imagine in the winter that is a godsend.
So when we arrived yesterday at this campsite in the ring of Kerry, it was chucking it down with rain, and we're just like, we'll grab the first one we can. And it wasn't bad, it was a nice little view, but one of the best things about this van is if you see a better spot, you can just move there. So now, here's where we are. How about that for a view?
The van's been a lot more practical and easy than I thought it would. All the little nooks and crannies all seem to have a purpose. There's like little pockets everywhere, there's lights, the way it all works, there's like hooks to hang stuff. It's been very carefully thought out. The way the table works, like it slides in and out and you can move it out of the way, that's pretty good. It's quite nice the way you can move the bed up so you can stand up inside here and have plenty of room, so it feels really quite spacious. The downstairs bed's a lot quieter and more sort of cosy. We slept down here one night when it was really windy because we were worried about the wind waking us up. And it's a lot darker because the blinds are down here. It kind of feels quite cosy, slightly narrower.
But the downside obviously is that you then had to sort of rearrange everything.
Yes, because the way everything's stored, like we've got stuff stored on the top of the shelf in the back, which is basically the bed. So to sleep on it, you've got to move all that stuff, move the bed forward, tidy everything up. And once the bed's down, there's very little extra space.
So that was the last night of camping, which is what?
6 nights.
6 nights. Thoughts on the California?
It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a bit of a stress and too small, but actually it's pretty doable, I think. If you bring far too much stuff and you don't know where all your stuff is, you just spend the whole time unpacking and repacking the van to get to the bag right at the bottom of the boot that you forgot where it was and this kind of stuff.
The fridge is super useful to have,
yeah.
And the fact that you can run it on a separate battery. But we haven't used the gas. You weren't too keen on the idea of that, were you?
The main thing I was worried about is the sort of smells and the vapour and stuff from cooking in this tiny little van might be a bit over the top. Just a normal household kettle was a lot quicker and easier than having to fire up the gas canister, fire up the hob, boil a kettle on the hob.
Having that 3-pin socket and an extension cord is exceedingly useful. I suppose we've not talked about the driving aspect. I mean, by the time we get back, we'll have done nearly 1,000 miles.
Oh, it's really comfortable. As a passenger, it's really comfortable. The seats are comfortable. There's loads of cubby holes around the passenger side to stow snacks and stuff while you're driving. I've had a thoroughly awesome holiday. I've enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. The van's been a lot more practical and easy than I thought it would. It's been quite fun.
So, Ireland in a Volkswagen California, thoroughly recommended. We want to know what your thoughts and tips are on holidaying in motorhomes and where people should go. Leave your comments down below, and if you've liked this video, give us a little thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the Autotrader YouTube channel. It's completely free, and we've got loads of good stuff to help you find your next car or camper van.